So what EDI solution is right for you? In order to ascertain that, you have to really look at what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to alleviate the burden on your staff and redeploy those people into other important areas of the business, which would provide a cost savings to you? Error reduction. Statistics will show that if you implement EDI, you can expect a 62% drop in errors on those transactions that are EDI based. How do I determine the cost or ROI? Well, again, you're going to be comparing the infrastructure to do it in-house versus a managed services. So you have to consider hardware, software costs, labor, mapping fees, VAN transactions. There's probably about 10 or 12 cost areas if you're planning on doing it in-house or if you're currently doing it in-house. What are some of the time frame considerations? Do you have the project management set up? What type of contact are you going to use with your trading partners, and what time frame? What trading partners do you want to automate first? That's a big question we get all the time, and my stock answer is pick some of the larger ones first, because you'll see the impact on your business right out of the gate. Once you automate with your largest trading partners, you'll see that effect on error reduction. You'll see the effect on timeliness of creating the response to your customer, their satisfaction, and reduction in staff that's required to process orders in a manual mode. So when we talk about some of the cost comparisons, and again, in a manual mode, you certainly don't have any CapEx, but you have labor and time, which is a recurring cost that only goes up. You have your cost of errors. A typical error in an EDI or an order, a PO being entered manually is around $53 if that error makes its way downstream. And not to mention the delays and potential loss of business. A manual EDI transaction is about $12 to $15 per document. Now, we've been challenged on that. We did a research project with Honeywell years ago, and they said, well, you really should base it on the number of lines in the PO. And their cost, they said, was 51 cents per line. And we looked at 1,000 POs and we added up the lines and did the math, and it came out to be $15 per document. So if you think about round trip, you can be spending $50, $60 for the key 4 EDI documents in a manual mode to communicate back and forth with your trading partners. Now, if you decide to look at it from an in-house standpoint, or you're already in-house, the list is a little bit longer than this, but you have hardware, you've got software and upgrades, van service and monitoring. You have to have specialized personnel. You have to have controls and flexibility, integration, spider webs, if you will. And it's very difficult to continue to do this when you have a revolving door of resources. So the cost is significantly higher when you are, in fact, in an in-house solution mode versus a managed services. In managed services, there's no CapEx or software. It's a very low barrier to entry. It's hundreds of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars. It's all success-based pricing. It's transactional. It's a single connection to a single company. Adding new customers, new trading partners, adding new forms is very easy and gets easier as we become more familiar with your data structures. The payback is typically within months, not years, and there's a rapid and recurring ROI that's associated with that. So when we talk about EDI, we're really talking about, for the majority, 80% of transactions are the core 4 documents: the purchase order acknowledgement, the advanced shipping notice, and the invoice. There's a lot of forms out there, and we have customers that use various other forms that have a certain degree of complexity associated with the specific needs of their business. We do ACHs and hundreds of other forms that use EDI. We do a lot of integration, API integrations with bringing information or sending information into other systems to be able to complete the transaction per the specifications of the customer. But the core 4 are those, and the flow associated with that. If you're talking about a vendor, you're sending out a PO and you're getting back a PO acknowledgement, advanced shipping notice, and eventually an invoice. And conversely, if you're sending to another customer or another distributor a reverse, that you're getting an 850 in PO and you're sending out a PO acknowledgement, advanced shipping notice, and ultimately an invoice. So that's sort of the EDI 101, if you will. I love this diagram because it really tells the story and really shows the value add that a managed services brings into the equation. From left to right, you, the customer, sits over on the left. We are ERP agnostic. We are cloud or on-prem agnostic, all depending upon customers' requirements. But the first step for us is to establish a connection and to understand what your business requirements are, business processes are, and to establish the link from you to our data center. Now, that has improved the ability to do that, and what can be included in the functionality has improved significantly as ERP companies have enhanced their interface to be more receptive to EDI information leaving and coming into their ERP system. As a matter of fact, in the world of Infor, the Ion product has continued to improve over the years. And I'd like to introduce Cameron, who's going to talk a little bit about the Ion interface and how we connect your initial forms to our data center. Cameron?
Yeah, sure. So the Ion connector is part of the CloudSuite OS, and so it's available in your CloudSuite setup, and it's a connector of how we get information back and forth between your ERP. And as a value trading partner of Infor, we have our own connector within the CloudSuite OS, and so that connection is very easy and seamless, that so much so that you can click in the drop-down menu of the CloudSuite OS and select UniLink, and that takes the place of setting up a messy and detailed FTP connection or having to install a third-party software to transfer data back and forth. And so UniLink is embedded into the Infor or CloudSuite OS, so much so that we have our own connector, and it's a way of, again, getting data into your system. So example, if you were ingesting purchase orders and you want that information in your ERP, we would take the EDI information, send it to Ion. Ion would allow your ERP to ingest this information, and then vice versa when we want to send. So that would be a purchase order coming from your trading partner or your manufacturer, and then or actually, I think it would be more of invoices coming in from your manufacturer, and then you as distributors would be sending out purchase orders. So an invoice would come in, go to Ion, and then it would be sent to your ERP, and then purchase orders would be sent from the ERP to Ion and sent to your manufacturer. So this way you can get your business documents from your manufacturer into your ERP, and then you can send documents out to your manufacturer from your ERP.
Right. So the net is that that was one of the areas of complexity many years ago that customers had in implementing EDI that now has improved substantially over the years and has increased in functionality and ease of use to where we have a minimal charge to connect you and the forms you want to automate to our data center, which is step one. Now over to the right of it is where your customers, your suppliers, your buying groups are all located. And when we get out there, the degree of difficulty becomes a little bit higher because they all have different ERP systems. They all have different ways that they want to communicate. They have different protocols, and all of that has to be taken into consideration because we don't want them to have to make any changes, because the more changes we push on the right side of this document, the lower the adoption rate. And the key to success of an EDI implementation is to get a high adoption rate. It doesn't matter if we have a great connection between you and our data center, if in fact we don't have that high adoption rate with customers, suppliers, and other buying groups. So that's a very important component of this. Now, the other day I was talking to a prospect and they say, well, we only have a couple customers that are already doing EDI. And my response is, well, that doesn't matter. You need to do EDI. And even if you have trading partners and customers that are sitting out there, they may not want to do the EDI integration with their ERP system, but through our smart map technology to your system, it looks like they're fully integrated in EDI. And we're going to talk about our smart map technology and how we do that and why we have such a high adoption rate. And just FYI, we're already connected to all the big box stores and understand all the complexities and the business rules that they bring to the table. Amazon, Walmart, CVS, Target, Walgreens, Home Depot, Lowe's, et cetera, et cetera. The list is quite exhaustive. So we mentioned smart maps a couple times, and I'll take a brief shot at this from a high level. And again, Cameron, feel free to jump in. But our smart maps ensures a high adoption rate because we don't ask trading partners and customers to make changes to their ERP system. We can take any of those business rules or requirements and we place those into the smart map logic so that we minimize their involvement, at the same time maximize complying with your business processes. So we translate data in the smart maps. We can create alerts in the smart maps, exceptions. We have very sophisticated smart maps, especially in the auto industry, where they have to go out into different inventory systems and get acknowledgments back. So we have to write APIs that go into read-only databases, bring back values, compare those values, and then let the transaction proceed. It's where we can handle multiple ship tos, drop ships. We can convert units of measure, calculated date offsets. It's really where all the action is and really differentiates a good managed services from some of the capabilities that you may have by doing this in-house or dealing with a different managed services that says, okay, as long as everybody complies with these standards, you're good to go. Well, that just doesn't work in our environment. Cameron, any comments on smart maps, some experiences that you may have had?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the why behind the smart map technology and some real examples that I've recently coded. And I will often have clients that want to check prices, they want to check rev levels, they want to check dates, adjust dates, and they also may want to look into particular prices and so on and so forth. And the why behind it is really enforcing your business rules. So you add that with, well, so what's the why behind EDI? Well, one of the biggest whys behind EDI is to eliminate manual entry. Okay, that's great. But a problem with automation could be, well, how do we know the prices are right? You know, if someone's manually doing it, they can check the prices. Well, with our smart map technology, we can also check the prices and enforce your business rules as if someone were manually entering your orders and checking them. So in other words, we programmatically check various values, whether it's a part number, order number, unit of measure, rev level, date, and can even make adjustments to enforce your business rules, which eliminates somebody having to manually enforce your business rules by looking at each invoice or looking at each purchase order as it goes out, so on and so forth. So really that's the why behind it. And some practical examples I recently coded out is where I'm checking prices. And if a price is off, I send a notification to the client and let them know. I have another client where we're working on synchronizing prices with a big corporation, yet still we have a we have a programmatic check to make sure the prices are correct. And a recent customization that I've done is building a cross-reference of dates. And the situation was we had promised or scheduled delivery dates and promised delivery dates and scheduled ship dates, and they were the same date. And so that was a big problem because as soon as the order came in, they had to ship the same day. And so the client had me build a cross-reference and look for a ship to ID. And according to which ship to ID was in the file that was sent from the trading partner, I adjust the dates accordingly so that the ship date and promised delivery date are reasonable. Anyways, that are the why behind the smart maps is to enforce your business rules without having to have someone manually look into your files.
Yep. So a smart map can have a couple dozen lines of code, and it could have 1,000 lines of code.
Yep.
Depends on the requirements, on your business requirements, as well as the business requirements of your trading partner. Okay, so the smart maps really helps. That's where the magic is, and the magic is also in the experience of our technicians in dealing with all these different processes and unique requirements that may come their way. The next component of a very successful EDI platform is a portal, a customer portal. For managed services companies like ours, it's your view into your EDI platform. It's where exception notifications can be created based on a transaction that may fail. It's where you can do exception reporting criteria. It's a WYSIWYG type of interface. You can look at it by transaction type. You can look at it by transaction size. Whatever the different variables are, you can create your own reports. And we would be happy to do a live demo with you as a result of this presentation if you're interested in seeing that. It takes about 15 minutes to go through it, but we can certainly arrange for our sales guy to schedule that with you, and then you can see it real time and see it in production. So that was the customer portal. What are the successful components or the components of a successful EDI implementation? The circle to your right really kind of tells the story. UniLink is responsible for doing all of the heavy lifting. As our customer, we want to work with you to make sure we get your business rules and your connection to our data center established and test it for each of the forms that we're going to automate. I said earlier, we ask you to send out an introductory email to the trading partners, and then we want to, of course, talk with you about prioritization of those trading partners, and then start to create test maps for each document, for each trading partner, and then we move into production. So, 95% of the work is our resources involved, not your resources. Your resources can continue to focus on other applications and other business processes within your company that help grow your top line. So, let's go over some of the benefits of EDI and distribution. We talked about data quality, high on the list. An error that makes its way downstream is a very expensive error and has long-lasting ramifications. Inventory management, virtually real-time visibility into inventory levels for stock optimization. Faster order fulfillment, basically again real-time, and so your customer experiences fulfillment with a shorter lapse time. Enhanced data security, all the information is protected during the transition, certainly reducing risk. Operation efficiency, faster order fulfillment and quicker turnaround times, we talked about that. Providing that Amazon experience, stronger supplier relationships, and being compliant with industry standards for data exchange. So we've had a lot of experiences with many different customers on specific requirements that they had, and these are just a couple of the examples. And again, I'll ask Cameron, who's a little more technically savvy than myself, to go through a couple that he's worked on, so that you can sort of relate to how much flexibility and how much comprehension can be included in our smart map implementation. Cameron.
Yeah, so in my previous examples, I mentioned how I'm checking various things, dates, ship to IDs, prices, part numbers, so on and so forth. And what this does is it enforces the business rules and helps our clients not to have to manually enter items into their ERP or to manually check these various items or rev levels and so on and so forth. And this is an advantage that we have and a competitive edge compared to a lot of other EDI companies who can't enforce these business rules. And for distributors, one document in particular that I've seen that's really helped is the rebates. And there's an 844 document that's an EDI jargon, but what it does is it automates rebates for distributors so that when they receive an invoice from the manufacturer, it goes through and says, okay, this is the item that was on the invoice. This is the price we paid. This is the discount we should receive. And then the manufacturer will send back an 849 saying, yes, we approve this rebate. No, we don't. So we have one client that their whole business thrives off rebates. And we do hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of rebates a day for them. And this has really helped keep their organization afloat. That's one of the best examples I can think of for distributors. And there's other examples, but the upshot, the conclusion is that EDI helps prevent manual entry, saves time, and automatically enforces business rules as a part of that.
And as Cameron has mentioned, rebates, we do have a couple slides on that, and that's a pretty cool application when you really start to peel back the onion and how much the impact it has on an organization. We've had customers say that they've actually received rebate funds prior to the due date of the invoice for the product that they received the rebate for. And it's basically you set up the schedule yourself, but it's constantly sending the 844s in and analyzing the 849 to make sure that it got accepted and it's in the payment process. And if it doesn't get accepted, why didn't it get accepted? It frees up a lot of time, improves cash flow, which is extremely important, and it takes the changes and the delays out of the rebate management. I'm going to show you just a sample screen here where you can see the 844 has been requested and the response has come back, and most of them, of course, are yeses. But if there's a price issue or a price authorization that's invalid, it'll throw up the error so that people can work just on the exceptions, clear the exception, and again, resubmit the 844 and realize those funds coming back into the business. And this is really all a byproduct of all the data that's already there. It's a matter of those two forms being activated, which substantially improves the business process, especially when there's a lot of weight associated with the rebate process. So I'm going to summarize a little bit here. In almost every project that I've been involved with in my career is even building a home. I was always told that, there's time, there's cost, and there's quality, and you can pick any two that you want. If you want high quality and you want something fast, it's going to cost more. If you want to save money and you still want high quality, it's going to take more time. Well, an EDI implementation provides all three. It's one of the rare times where you don't have to choose, because you will save time, you will reduce costs, and your quality will improve. And that's why we believe that a managed services option is the best option. It's extremely easy to budget. There's no capital expense required, no software to purchase, no upgrades to consider, no upgrade costs to consider. It's success-based pricing, which I mentioned earlier. There's the initial connection to the data center, which is insignificant amount of money. And then there's the mapping for each form, for each trading partner. And the return on that map is very easily calculated by the number of transactions times the number of dollars saved per transaction. You certainly get a proven implementation process. We've done this hundreds, if not thousands of times. It's a custom EDI technology tailored to your business needs. You don't have to make a change or sacrifice a business process for the sake of the automation. You kind of have your cake and eat it too. There's ongoing communication with you and your trading partners provided as part of the system. No additional cost associated with that. There's great portal with automated and proactive exception reporting and correction in the smart maps. And the most important check mark is our service reputation. Whoever you decide to do business with, it's critical that customer service is in their DNA. It is critical. It has to be an end-to-end ownership. No pointing fingers the various different components or companies that may be lying in that delivery process. Back in my time, they would say, you know, one neck to choke. I want to make one phone call and I want the problem corrected. In our case, you know, we deal with all of the trading partners. And if we see a transaction that fails, we're going to notify you through our portal. And more importantly, or as importantly, we're going to notify our people of a transaction failure. The majority of the time, it's something a trading partner has changed on their end. We contact them. We deal with the change that they made by altering the smart map. So whatever change they made that they felt it was critical to their business process. And then we make sure that transaction successfully makes its way into your system. So that's a summary of the criteria that is absolutely critical. Our Infor footprint, we deal in distribution. Probably the highest number of customers are in distribution, manufacturing with Sightlines, CSI, M3, LN, and then Compass, some of the older systems that are in the Compass group within Infor. But we're not tied to just Infor ERP systems. And again, it doesn't really matter what your trading partner, what accounting system or ERP system they have, or whether or not they want to fully integrate EDI on their end. We will, through our smart map technology, we will figure out how to get that data that you require in order to have successful EDI transactions, you know, full circle, back and forth, that meet your requirements. I wanted to share with you a little bit of our growth over the last 10 years. You're not dealing with a flat growth company. 2019, 2020, when COVID hit, we kind of figured we would flatten out the curve a little bit, when in fact it did nothing but accelerate. Our customers are growing. They're adding new trading partners. Their trading partners are adding more transactions. And we're adding new customers, new projects, new ERP systems all the time that all go into the growth of our company. So yeah, we have solid growth, and we see that continuing. As a matter of fact, I think this month we'll break a record for successful transactions going through the system. So with that, Shane, I don't know if you have questions that have been submitted. We'd be happy to answer those, but I want to make sure that we thank everyone that has taken the time this afternoon to kind of listen to our information regarding how important EDI is, what your options are, and a little bit of detail about the managed services option. Shane?